Hello, everyone, and welcome to Basic Binges on the Nom Talk Network. As you guys know and have could tell, uh, it is time for our weekly Last of Us recap. We've got a lot to talk about. I know that we have a special day today. It's a Tuesday. We usually do these things on Monday, but unfortunately, due to timing conflicts, we had to push to today. So thank you guys for bearing with us, and hopefully, you aren't talked out over the awesomeness of this show because we got one more show in us for you at least. Yeah, with us today actually are of course regular friend of the show Kenji Donville. Hey Kenji, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. So glad to be back again.
Very good, very good. Kenji, you eating anything right now? Or are you drinking anything?
You know what? I was gonna try and make some like cup noodles to eat beforehand. Actually, some udon actually, but I had a bit of an accident upstairs. Basically, a bunch of stuff fell over, so I tried to get that finished beforehand, but nope. So I ended
Oh,
up just cropping him out off screen. I hope nobody can see him. Yep, nope. I'm looking at the stream right now. You can't see me. You can't see which ones fell over. But
Oh
I am
no.
drinking uh, what was it? Canada Dry Bold. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's oh no. Wait, never mind. It's seltzer water. Never mind. I'm drinking seltzer water. I just looked at the can and I was like, wait a minute, did I open the wrong can? I sure did. Uh, so I'm drinking a can of seltzer, grapefruit flavor, I guess. There we
um,
go.
well, it's great to have mystery flavors when you're choosing stuff to drink. But yeah, maybe next one we'll do Canada Dry Bold, right? So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us as always, Kenji. And today, joining us, we've got a very special guest, Carolyn Poddig. How you doing, Carolyn?
I'm doing okay. It's a good day. And I'm in my post-apocalyptic vest here, which apparently looks like you're wearing your favorite warm jacket and you're just ready to you know, I don't know, you're just ready to try a little bit of everything. But thankfully there's much room for all.
Oh, Carolyn with the jokes. We love it.
Oh,
Love it, Carolyn. No, that was amazing, and you look amazing too. You look like ready for cordyceps infected to come attack you. You know, hopefully they won't, but if they do, you're dressed for the part. So at least there's that.
Hey,
Are you eating or drinking anything, Carolyn?
ironically, we're dealing with I've got my soda, because we don't know how that's gonna last, and then a little bit of a delicacy. I've got my grocery store sushi that I was having for dinner. So
Very good.
we're just nomming a little bit on that, as it were.
Well, this is Nom Talk Network. No better place to do that than here. So yeah. As you guys might notice, Jordan Orozco, who normally is on this show, is unable to join this tonight because everyone, it is Jordan's birthday. When you get a chance, hit him up on social, wish him happy birthday. We love that guy, and we will be back next week. But until then, we still got a great show for you today, and we're so glad, Carolyn, that you stepped in for us at the last minute. This is very grateful for that. So
Happy
yeah.
to do it.
And by the way, just so you guys know, I am drinking this blue Fanta thing. It's zero sugar. I figured I needed zero sugar today since I had a lethal dose of sugar last week with a Skittle Sprite cocktail that I probably should never have drank because I think it eliminated 15 years off my lifespan. But having said that, very, very happy that we can jump into some zombies, some post-apocalyptic stuff, and some bonding time between two of our favorite survivors, Ellie and Joel. This was definitely a more narrative heavy focus, I think, from this week versus last week. But last week was such a gorgeously, beautifully thematic and wonderful story of Bill and Frank. We're back on the road with Ellie and Joel, and this time, thanks to Frank's wonderful truck, and its sticky magazines. These guys actually have made some really good ground and covered some really good ground going from Boston all the way to Kansas City on their way to Tommy in Wyoming. So having said that, I think a lot of the initial scenes are set up so that Ellie and Joel can start to get to know each other, get closer to each other. Ellie pulls out a joke book of puns and entertains us, but not Joel. And they feast off of 20-year-old Chef Boyardee ravioli, which kind of looked amazing and awesome. And I really wish I had beefaroni right now, because Chef Boyardee would hit the spot. But that being said, wanted to get your thoughts on how all this went down. Carolyn, I'll start with you. What did you think of these initial scenes with Joel and Ellie on the road?
So when I first started the show, I was a little bit like it hit home too close for me in a way. I really identified with Joel because we're not gonna get really deep and serious, but during the pandemic I was out there, and I was during the height of the pandemic, I was out there and I was doing stuff. Like I had 4 different jobs, and seeing this guy who was trying to survive really kind of hit home with me, and it made it a really strange, slightly uncomfortable watch. But by this episode, it felt so nice to see somebody come home and like have these really human moments. And also, I mean, Ellie's puns are amazing. And as a Disney cast member, puns are something of what I do. You know, we're pretty punny people, you know. Everybody just has to bend an ear at the House of Mouse, and we'll just take care of it.
Bend an ear is a pun too, right? Because House of Mouse, right? There you go. Yeah, that's a very Disney pun. Amazing. Love it. What about you, Kenji? What'd you think of the introduction with Joel and Ellie on the road and sticky magazines?
Well, I mean, obviously, as a fan of the game, this was right out of the game. You know, like this was a scene that was right out of the game, and it was hilarious then, and it's hilarious now, and you know, it was just so well. It's such a touching moment because, like, yes, it is kind of like it's kind of crass humor, sure. I mean, maybe, sure. But with that said, though, like that's not what the focus is. The focus is like the fact that they're having like this amazing, beautiful moment, and there's just such good chemistry between these two actors too. So like I am just yeah, I thought it was absolutely well acted. Yeah, it's great. Like it's I feel like it's that little sprinkle of just enough from the games so that you know that so just to keep the fans happy because I mean I don't know if you guys heard but the last episode got review bombed like crazy.
We know why it
but
got review bombed, though.
of
Mhm.
course we all
are
know why we got
assholes.
review bombed, but I mean
Yeah.
like that's just the way things are. But the thing
Yeah.
is, but no, but the point is like they as beautiful and amazing as that episode was, they veered a little bit off the story, just off the video game. But the fact is, it's like it's still kind of like that moment of like it's still just enough of the video game, but also veering just off enough that it's borrowing elements. That's the best way to describe it. It's borrowing elements from the game, and it's the best elements from the game.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what episode 5 is going to get, which I hear is going to be airing earlier. But anyhow,
What? No,
Friday.
really?
Yeah, Friday. You'll be able to watch it as soon as Friday. I feel like they're trying to avoid the competition from the Super Bowl, you know?
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
they're bringing it 2 days earlier, which I guess makes sense. But to be honest, I feel like The Last of Us could take the Super Bowl. You know, I mean, obviously it wouldn't. Obviously, 100 million viewers versus 10 million viewers wouldn't like you know. Obviously, it's no comparison, but still, I don't think
there's no way, dude. There's no way.
I'm just saying the Super Bowl ends typically at around 8 or 9. The Last of Us comes on around 9. People will still watch The Last of Us after the Super Bowl if they're not like drunk out their asses already. So, you know.
I want to ask you guys a question. You know that Hank Williams song? Do you think it's going to be as catchy as the Bonnie Ray song from the last episode? I mean, it just seems like Neil Druckmann is bringing in like all this classic music. That's like all this classic cowboy music. You know what I mean?
The Bonnie Raitt song?
Yeah, no,
Which
the
one?
song from last episode. Did I forget who did it?
Long time.
Yes.
Yeah, Linda Ronstadt.
Linda Ronstadt. Okay, my
All
bad.
good. No, it's all good. All good. I don't think so. I think that there's an emotion behind the Linda Ronstadt song that is very key and central to the story of Bill and Frank. Whereas the Hank Williams song is great, and it's kind of fun that we got Joel loving. He's definitely a country fan. But it's not really that central to the story. I feel like they used it in the marketing, which I thought was great. Some of the earlier trailers had the same song. And it does definitely paint a picture of despair and foreboding in this post-apocalyptic future, but I don't think it's going to be as I don't think it's going to take off as much as long time. At least you're not going to have that many people crying to it. So,
Fair. Very fair.
yeah. It is a good song, but yeah. I wanted to ask what you guys thought about there's one thing that really stuck with me in these opening scenes, and it's you have this character who's a little bit resentful that he has to escort this girl that he considers openly as cargo, in this episode. But you got to wonder, why does he care so much about preserving the innocence of this cargo when she's flipping through a porno magazine? You gotta wonder, are the walls starting to break here, with this very steely this steely person, the smuggler, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that they're building up the connection between Joel and Ellie very well so far as these 4 episodes are concerned? Kenji, I'll start with you.
I mean, I definitely, I definitely think so. I mean, that's kind of like what this whole episode was about, is kind of like how we're noticing, like, just how exactly, like you said, like these walls are coming down. Like he's finally starting to let somebody in a little bit, and he's kind of okay with kind of this with almost this surrogate role that he's starting to play, and he's and I don't know, it's just such wholesome moments, like it's I can't even begin to explain it. Like if I start going on about it, like I'd be here for hours. I feel like, because like it's just they're just, it's so well written, and obviously, like, we got some deviations from the main game storyline, where we got introduced to I can't remember the names just because they're not in the game. I can't remember their names. But yeah, the two basically the two leaders of the society of humans that have kind of uh, taken shelter, like for their like judge, jury, and executioner, essentially.
Yeah.
You know
Mhm.
who I'm talking about.
The
Yeah,
Kansas City, like the people, I guess it's not like Kansas City anymore in the game, right? I think it's somewhere else, but
yeah. In the game they're going to was it Philadelphia?
I think
I think
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
don't
then
remember, but yeah,
and then they changed it to Kansas City for the game,
yeah,
for the
for
show.
the show.
Yeah, but then and then we meet these two new characters. So, but anyhow, like I'm excited to see where I'm excited. I just thought this was just such a wholesome episode, especially with all the jokes. Like
Yeah, yeah.
some of them were so grown worthy, though. Like, I mean, like I'm for a clever pun, but I'm also for, like, I mean, it's funny. It's hilarious for me to complain about these puns, because like I love making horrible puns. Like the worse the pun is, the better for me. Like I, it's weird. Like some people are like, why can't you make an intelligent pun? I'm like, no, I want to make like the one that makes you die inside a little bit here.
I think we had a few of those definitely in this.
Yeah,
Those are the best kind, though. Those are the ones
Yeah,
where it's like they throw you off. You don't know if you're gonna laugh, if
yeah.
you should laugh, or if you should be very disappointed, and it pushes you into that era of I'm okay with it pushes you past the oh this is uncomfortable into the I'm gonna laugh anyway, which is the best kind of joke for me.
Yeah. I Carolyn, I mean, like, what did you think of kind of just these walls sort of breaking down and how they're starting to do it on the show and how it's written? I mean, like, to go from Pedro Pascal's face when Ellie first takes out the pun book and gives him his first pun to having him stare her down about the scarecrow one and then retort because he was outstanding in his field. Um, so playing along with it. I mean, like, how are you taking all this? How you feel? How's it making you feel?
Well, I guess you could say he got used to the Joel Oaks.
That was well, there you go.
That was such a stretch. I mean, I guess.
Did you want me to try and elevate my humor?
Oh, that
Okay.
one's better. That one was better.
Okay,
Oh
that's
my
fair.
gosh.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
But
It
no,
was a stretch without anyone redeeming any Nom Talk points. So, I mean, there you go.
I know.
But
Yeah. Seriously, like if cue ball, redeems any pun any points, can we ask you to just make puns for us so that way we don't actually have to physically just move because
I will give it 110% of because like I always tell people I got nothing. Give me a second to prepare. No,
you
what
son of a
no
bitch.
worries.
Sorry
Dude,
guys.
like you're
We
on
got
fire though.
we got some bad news. Nom Talk Network redeemed Sing mode for 1,000 points.
Oh,
Therefore, we must say everything that we're saying in sing song. Carolyn, you were saying about the Joel and Ellie relationship.
I guess you could say that the world's okay with people who are masculine being a little more serious and a little less fun. But then, son of a gun, his walls break down and the world goes to town. And this is something that's been done. Pedro Pascal's the sort of guy that's used to roles by now. Baby Yoda's a good example.
His
And
name
that's
is Grogu.
his
Sorry,
Baby Yoda. That's what I'm
Grogu.
gonna call him. He's Baby Yoda. He and Ellie can sit and have snacks. But that's the point. When you have a parent who's breaking down those walls, it's something that you don't normally see in media today. The destruction of toxic masculinity is what wins the day.
Very well said. I don't know if this is over yet, so I'm not going to tempt fate and I'll continue singing, but that was really well done and your voice is actually quite nice. So one of these okay, thank God. Okay, they're letting us in.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
Lord.
Carolyn, you have a lovely voice. I
Thank
can't wait to
you.
see you like sing like real songs and not Last of Us synopses. Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
That does
Oh,
deserve
thanks.
a round of applause. And terrific points about parenting and the idea of this toxic masculinity kind of breaking down, through Joel and Ellie's example. And when you think about it, okay, you take a look at the Bill and Frank relationship and people who for people out there who said that this excuse me, sorry, that episode didn't have an impact on the greater story. The fact that there's a reason that we have that episode and the letter that Bill writes to Joel and how the walls are breaking down here. You don't get from episode 2 to episode 4 and have these character changes without something really kicking that off. That is the point of episode 3. So everyone on the internet who's saying that it didn't advance the story or it wasn't relevant or there should be a show about zombies, we really know what you're saying. Two things that you're saying: one, you never played the game, you didn't understand the concept of the game if you did, and two, we kind of know what you're thinking and it's pretty damn horrible. So yeah, anyways, Sorry, just had to get. There's a lot that I want to get off my chest about the review bombing of it all and ridiculous accusations about the show going woke. Especially considering that half of the people out there who are accusing the show of being woke are completely in the dark about the fact that one of its main characters is actually gay anyways. So, I mean, you clearly tell me you haven't played the game without telling me you haven't played the game, right? Ignorant jackasses. Anyways, yeah, so our friend Q Ball's on here, and I think they said oh no and did a face palm thing that was probably about my singing, so thank you for that one. Yeah, let's get to Kansas City. Yeah. We got Joel and Ellie unfortunately having to ditch their car because of a huge blockade on the road that they can't move, a large obstacle, in their way. And they decide to kind of go around the obstacle and straight through Kansas City. And unfortunately, there's a guy that's asking for help, and Joel knows exactly what's going on because he's been around for quite some time, and you get to hear why he kind of knows what's going on. And unfortunately, instead of helping the guy, he has to gun it because their lives are in danger. And then they destroy the car by dropping something very heavy on it and force them to crash into a store, which leads to a gunfight, which leads to, Joel having to pick off the last man standing, but getting into a bit of trouble. And something quite harrowing happens with Ellie and the gun that she acquired from Bill's house having to step in to save Joel, something that Joel absolutely was trying to prevent. And then a further harrowing scene, knowing that this is actually, the douchebag that attacked him is a younger kid, in a way, and well, they have no choice. They have no other options but to get rid of him. And Joel tells again, that spirit of that paternal instinct to try and protect the innocent here. Um, Makes Ellie go into the other room as we hear the sounds of somebody pleading suddenly silenced in a very haunting sort of manner. I'm gonna stop there because that's a lot. Carolyn, thoughts on this entire sequence from the start of them hitting Kansas City to this moment?
I think one of the things that a lot of people watching this show jumps to is comparing it to Walking Dead. But the strength that this show has versus Walking Dead isn't just the fact that the actors have considerably more chemistry. It isn't the fact that, it's the fact that you have two people, you can really explore those people in depth.
Yeah.
Walking Dead had a massive group of survivors by the end, so you had everybody picking teams and picking favorites, but there's just Joel and Ellie. And this is going to come off as possibly callous, but again, speaking to somebody who saw a lot of our own state of viral everything here, you have to make choices and decisions that are that are pretty bad. And I think that
Carolyn, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I must stop you. Or sorry, Mike must stop you because Mike has just seen that our the Nom Talk Network's good buddy Q Ball has redeemed third person. So Mike and Carolyn have to talk in the third person as we're continuing as the Nom Talk Network is continuing to do this. So Carolyn, Mike
Carolyn
apologizes.
Carolyn wants to let Mike Q Ball and the Nom Talk Network know that this might not be as difficult for Carolyn as they think. So Carolyn's whole view
Nice.
on this is that they are of the mind that when you are in a situation like that, as Joel and Ellie were, Carolyn believes that you have to make those tough choices. The choice that Joel and Ellie made, Carolyn thinks, especially Joel towards the unaliving of that particular individual, was just what had to be done. When you were in a apocalypse, at least if Carolyn were in an apocalypse, Carolyn is of the mind that, that you'd have to. You would just have to. And for such a serious show, Carolyn thinks that the viewers should consider, once again, Carolyn is of the ultimate mind that it's a strange show for them to watch sometimes, but in this case, it made sense. And they were also a little concerned about Ellie up to a point because they thought that Bella Ramsey's acting was fantastic with the things that they were using. But they think that Bella looked a little sus that whole time. But then again, Carolyn's never played the game, so you're literally Nom Talk and the internet is literally looking at somebody who Carolyn has never played Last of Us. So I am the virgin fresh going in baby here. They are the virgin fresh going in baby.
Well done, Carolyn. Mike applauds that. Mike has acknowledged the fact that Carolyn has had to do two really ridiculously difficult things in a row. So Mike will pass the buck to Kenji. And Mike wants to know, Kenji, what did you think about the Kansas City sequence and the, confrontation between Ellie, the kid, and then Joel on the receiving end?
Well, he thought it was quite 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 well staged. Like definitely a well acted set piece. Kenji thought it was rather interesting. Just he thought that it was fantastic how you get to see just kind of like how see how much of a seasoned veteran Joel is in that particular moment. Like he knows, I know exactly what's about to go down. We need to go. And yeah, Kenji thought it was actually fantastic. Obviously, fantastically acted, but just the moment that happens between Joel and Ellie in that moment, just where not so much that the walls are coming down, but in that moment when Joel, well, Ellie needs someone to comfort her in that moment for doing something pretty horrifying, because Ellie didn't just shoot somebody and kill them. She shot somebody and then they were paralyzed and then they were screaming and pleading and begging, which is just harrowing when you think about it too, because at that point now you're like, do you continue what you're doing, or do you have someone like Joel do it for you so you don't have to make that hard decision?
Can
And
Carolyn ask Kenji a question?
absolutely.
Carolyn would like to know if this is accurate. Number one, if this is accurate to the game, and number two, where the audience is never clear on Joel's background, or has not been made clear on Joel's background yet, as far as military service or anything else. That does that come into play later in the game? Does the audience know why where Joel gets these skills, or is it simply because Joel has seen the apocalypse as a whole?
It's never fully explained in game, so the fact that we are kind of getting this background, this backstory is great. Like it kind of is like implied through like the relationships that Joel has with the people that he meets in game, that you're like, oh, he knows this person probably because of this, but you don't have, but it's kind of based on like inference. Like as the audience, you're finding out more like Ellie is like I, I guess not. I guess not so much. Kind of like how Ellie is in game. Like just as much as Ellie does about Joel. I guess not quite, because there's the whole intro sequence with where he loses his daughter. But otherwise, other than that, though, it's not. They're definitely building a lot more. Like Tony doesn't even have Tommy. Sorry, Tommy. Yeah. Even he's got a. He's even he's got the brother. He's got like not quite as as fleshed out of the backstory as well. Like it's kind of like implied he might have some military training, but not fully discussed. But then so the fact that you're getting like this like right out of Joel's mouth and like, no, this is what happens. This is who these people are. It's like a much more like one, it lets the audience know a lot more about these characters. And the other thing is also that it lets kind of like it's an indirect way of showing this kind of like, he's letting somebody in. Like he doesn't let anybody know about this stuff. Like he doesn't like first not only well not only that, like not only does he not let anybody know up until this at the beginning of this episode he kept saying she's cargo.
Mhm.
So the fact that he's letting cargo in enough to know about like his family's back, his backstory and all that stuff and what have you, or I mean just a little bit, and to like laugh at these jokes is, it's I think it's just is great. It's not only is it a vehicle to let us see that Joel is letting his guard down a little bit, but it also lets us know a little bit more about these characters that we only got like implied in inferences in the game.
By the way, Cue Ball redeemed Hydrate. Thank you guys always for doing the third party. Yeah, you guys killed it. So appreciate that. And hydrating. And to add to that as well, Carolyn, yeah, Kenji's right. There wasn't a whole lot of backstory in the game to Joel and to Tommy specifically. Everything that you need to know about them is in that prologue scene with Sarah. But really, because the story is so focused on Ellie and Joel and that journey, that's really where that character development comes in. I do think it's actually really interesting and heartwarming if you think about it, because in the second episode, what does Joel tell Ellie? Why don't we just keep our paths to ourselves? Like we don't talk about it. And then in this episode, after going through all of this together, going and getting the car from Bill and Frank's, and now on the road to Kansas, he starts telling her all these things. He starts telling her about Tommy, how Tommy was always a joiner, and how it was always let him into trouble, all of that stuff. That's the past. That's the stuff that he didn't want to reveal. So it's definitely indicative of how this relationship is evolving, and that really is the focus of The Last of Us. So I'm really glad that everyone's kind of picked up on that. I would love to touch upon a specific and terrific actress named Melanie Lynskey and her wonderful performance as Kathleen. We're introduced to the leader of these Kansas City rebels, and kind of with the show does a really good job showing rather than telling what happened, and this being kind of a QZ, how a certain group of people sort of just couldn't take it anymore, because they wanted to rise up against the Nazi fascists and just kind of overthrew everything. And that's those among the people in that group are the people that Joel and Ellie killed. And the leader is Kathleen. If you watch the after show, I think Craig Mazin I think it's Craig Mazin goes into how we see, and this is something that has happened throughout the annals of history. One really terrible regime falling only for another one to come up, and it's almost the same, if not worse, and we're seeing this happen in a QZ after only a couple of days. What did you guys think of the introduction to Kathleen and the kind of sad backstory of the Kansas City QZ? Carolyn, I'll start with you.
That was it. The discussion with her and and the doctor was just really heartwarming. I mean, it was really, well, I say warming when I mean wrenching, but it was just really heart-wrenching, because it goes to show you just how divisive situations with survival can be, and the fact that that the fact that she finds, I'm imagining, once again, coming in as a newbie here, I'm imagining that she's in a position of extreme power and authority, and suddenly she finds herself in charge of this massive group of people. I was genuinely surprised. She didn't look like that kind of person at all, which I liked, because normally people who do that kind of have like a harder look. So I really liked how she didn't look like the kind of person who would be leading those sorts of people to me. um but it was heart-wrenching, and she didn't really want to do anything. And it's, you know what reminded me of, in Marvel, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, her performance kind of reminded me of the leader of the rebels a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, yeah. Flag
The
Smasher.
leader of the, because she wanted to, the leader of the rebels in, what are they called again? It's
Flag Smashers.
yeah, the Flag Smashers. um it's the the Flag Smashers wanted to do something better. They wanted to take a system that had been genuinely stacked against people, and they wanted to set up something new in its place and say, we're here, we're doing this. It's very clear that Kathleen's coming from the same sort of position. It's also very clear that, there's no really good answer to that kind of stuff. And I loved how they portrayed that. And I love the actress. Like, she just really, it was really, she didn't look like the kind of person I would expect to do that. And I love that. I love subverting types like that.
Yeah, it was really well done. And Kathleen's not in the games, which is interesting. She's an invented character for this show. I thought Melanie Lynskey did an equally chilling and also unassuming performance here, which I thought was very an interesting decision, but also a really well done decision here. Because to your point, Carolyn, you would not expect someone who speaks like Melanie Lynskey, who's kind of soft spoken, to be this terrible and menacing character, and to basically just turn against all semblance of compassion, to somebody who literally was a doctor from her birth to this point. It's really shocking to see what the apocalypse could do to someone. Kenji, what are your thoughts on Kathleen and the Rebels? And as someone who played the game, her introduction as a completely new character.
Well, I definitely like the introduction of this character. I love the way that they've used her, kind of like, because as you said, like she seems very unassuming, like not your typical, you know. It's like the first time you see Bruce Willis. It's like the first time the '80s, or I guess the late '80s, early '90s saw Bruce Willis as a John McClane. Like, no, it was a new take on that kind of a trope. So like the fact that you saw someone who seems very unassuming to be playing such a toughened, and for all intents and purposes, kind of like evil character, kind of like that drug king, kind of like the drug leader character from Euphoria. Just like the very just like how just very unassuming kind of like person, like a person you wouldn't expect to be that evil kind of person. Is like, it's very well done. I just realized it's also HBO. But um, but yeah, I just thought it was a very well done character of, and just the bone chilling way that she just kind of just walks in, opens up has the container opened up, just
Boom, boom.
just yep, like just so coldly. It just is intense. Is very intense. And it's kind of very interesting. It's kind of like that idea of, I mean, obviously she was trying to do a bunch of stuff to find out where her brother was, and I'm assuming that the brother was the kid that gets killed
I think
by
so.
Joel. Yeah, I think that's what it was implied, and because of that, like I mean, I think so. At least that's what I thought. At least that's what I got from, like, just it's just such a harsh way, because like the whole point was like she was trying to find her brother by like finding out where this Henry dude was, and then to just that's why she was interrogating the doctor, and then to just someone just walk in and kill the doctor. I assumed, like, well, my brother's dead now, so bye. Kind of thing. Yeah, you're useless to me now, kind of thing. Like, it was yeah, it's just very cold, and I almost feel like this character's almost kind of has like the same kind of grudge that I just drew a blank on the character's name from Last of Us Part Two. The reason why we don't have Joel in the game.
Abby.
Abby. I did
Abby,
look
yes,
this up.
yeah, she
Mhm.
seems very similar to she's like that kind of like attitude of like a person who's very, very who's was probably a very like sweet person getting pushed to that point. And like she seems very she kind of borrows some elements of Abby, I feel like. So, it's who knows what where we're gonna see where this character is gonna go. Because she's basically got the same kind of revenge pack, kind of the revenge kind of like she got the revenge juices going for Joel now. So yeah, I think it's a great character because I was wondering like who's the villain going to be in this show
Yeah.
because we don't really have a villain quote unquote so far. So like the fact that and it's clearly obvious that this is the character that's going to be like the baddie that's kind of following them the whole time, and it's that's coming after them. Like the threat besides the cordyceps, the human element that's going to be coming after Joel, and I think that's great. And I think it's great that we're deviating a little bit, because obviously because I kind of agree with the creator of the game when he created the series, which was if I wanted a one-to-one recreation of if I wanted a one-to-one recreation of the video game, I just play the video
Yeah.
game. It's like I don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the game that I have and I'm gonna take elements of it, but I also want to explore this world that I've created. And I think it's great that we're exploring it, you know.
I think so too. And it's kind of awesome. I don't know if anyone noticed who her second in command was. The actor playing the kind of guy with the beard and everything like that, the scruffy looking tough dude. His name is Jeffrey Pierce. He is the original voice of Tommy in the games. So they gave Jeffrey Pierce a nice role, which is kind of great. Since Gabriel Luna is Tommy in this iteration, he is portraying Kathleen's right-hand man. So that's great. Kenji, you name dropped a name that came up quite frequently in last night's episode, Henry. As someone who's played the game, can you tell us a little bit about who Henry is?
You know what? This is actually where my memory gets fuzzy because it's
That's all
actually
good.
been so long
No,
since I
no, that's all
played the
good.
game. Because
All
honestly,
good.
I played it on the 3 to give you an idea how long ago it was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, all good, all good, all good. Yeah, yeah, that was a long time ago. Um, yeah, no, you know what? I'm not gonna go into it just out of fear of spoiling things, especially since this one ended on a cliffhanger, which we'll get to, by the way. But yeah, I think you'll be hearing the name Henry uh in a more frequent and prominent capacity starting next week's episode. Just teasing a little bit, a little bit. Okay. But on with the episode. So Kathleen's now after Joel and Ellie because Joel and Ellie are dangerous. Meanwhile, Joel and Ellie, having survived the fight, um, kind of stop, to kind of regroup a little bit and regroup their thoughts, come up with a plan and strategy for the day. Um, inside of the little office that Ellie's kind of cornered herself into. And Joel kind of asks her, um, it's not your first time. It wasn't my, it's, he's trying to tell her that he's trying to protect her from having to do things like shoot people or anything like that. He's grateful, of course, that she came and, excuse me, sorry. He's grateful, of course, that she came and saved his life. But he strongly believes that kid shouldn't have to do something like that, especially since, he lost Sarah. And Ellie, frankly and sadly, kind of tells him it's not the first person that she's ever put down, and he tries to get her to talk about it, I guess, without pushing her. He's very gentle about it, but she doesn't want to talk about it, and yeah, just it's essentially a very sad moment, having to knowing that Ellie is not as innocent as any average kid would be. She's very innocent, of course, but she's seen some shit, and that's the way that life is in the apocalypse. But yeah, they have to deal with sorry, she has to she revealed all that to Joel, and it kind of shocked him. What did you guys think of this interaction? I mean, what were your thoughts? Kenji, I'll start with you.
Um, you know, it was it was interesting because because at this point she she's also had her walls up too, you know, and like she's been trying to like she's for all intents and purposes she's been a bit of an asshole too, like just as much as Joel has been. And so to have this moment where like he's got so much guilt for like have for feeling like like because like obviously the whole point is that it's the moment should have been about how Ellie was feeling in that moment, but he wasn't thinking about that. He was only worried about like he felt guilty. He was thinking about his guilt in that moment, and
Yeah.
like rather than so like it was kind of like it's when you think about it, it's kind of like an underhanded kind of passive aggressive way of being like, I'm fine by the way, but like sure, let's talk about how you're feeling about this situation, but like let's talk about your guilt about this. And that's why it's like that moment of reassurance of like, by the way, I'm a 14-year-old kid and I'm reassuring you, a 56-year-old man, that you're fine. You don't have to worry about this. I'm fine, by the way.
Yeah.
But if it makes you feel better about this situation, this isn't the first time. And it's kind of like, in a way, it also kind of wakes up Joel, I think, because, he's essentially having to take care of someone who's quite similar to Sarah, his daughter, and attitude wise. So, like, the fact that, it's kind of like everything that he would have had to have learned as a dad prior he's never been able to experience, he's now experiencing now with her. And just the dynamic that it presents, and the way that they've presented it as well in the show, is just really really well done. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily award worthy, because I don't want to be one of those people that are like, that they're just like, like just because a movie is like ultra popular, it's like, like how Top Gun Maverick is technically speaking up for Best Picture. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of
and
stuff.
and curiously of all, best adapted screenplay too.
Yeah. So like, but
Don't get me wrong,
like,
I like Top Gun, but yeah. Anyways,
but
sorry.
but that's what I mean. Like, I don't want to be like, just because it's like something that's ultra popular, I don't want it to be like, oh, that's why I should deserve an award. But like, I'm not gonna say that, because like if other people say that it's that worthy, and like those institutions say that it's worthy, then absolutely. But as far as I'm concerned, I will say it's very, very well done performance overall. But I don't want to say like it's award worthy just because of that stigma that's surrounding it.
Well, I think people are at a point where just because it's popular, The Last of Us is getting acclaim, and people want it to be nominated for awards because of how good it is. It has nothing to do with how popular it is, because popularity and quality are two different things, right? But in this case, I think the quality, it's popular because the quality is so goddamn good. Like the acting, the writing, the direction, the tone, it's so well done. Even last week's episode, everybody was screaming that things need to be nominated for Emmys, because the performances of Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett alone were phenomenal. It's been a long time since I think a show has put everyone on the edge of their seats and has really connected folks to a pair of characters like Joel and Ellie. So certainly I think you should go ahead and say that it's awards worthy, you know, if you want to, if you think it is, regardless of how popular it is, because it's definitely, the popularity is not because it's a flavor of the month. The popularity is because it's goddamn good, and I think that everybody deserves that praise, I think. But
I mean, I would probably say, I mean, I don't know about Joel and Ellie being
Yeah.
award worthy, but I would definitely say Nick Offer and just the relationship that they had between Bill and Frank, like that one was just that performance. Yes, absolutely. I think everyone should take a look at that because that definitely is award worthy from both performers, just getting very, very, very vulnerable. And yeah, but as far as Joel and Ellie, it's really good, but I still haven't seen anything that's made me go, guys.
Mike says that there's at least 5 more episodes for you to see, and I think that Mike will is telling you that you'll be very pleasantly surprised. Mike is talking like this, by the way, because Mike and Kenji's friend Jordan, who is the birthday boy, is now joined Mike, all of us on the chat, and has redeemed third person. So happy birthday, Jordan. Mike says this is for you. The Mike thinks that Kenji's, a synopsis of the Joel and Ellie relationship is terrific. Appreciate it. This is the only way the Mike can actually learn to talk third person, is if the Mike talks like The Rock, because The Rock does this all the time, and the Mike thinks that this is the only way. If he emulates The Rock, then this is the only way that the Mike can actually complete the third person assignment. So that being said,
I'm really digging this new persona that's being created because of this. The Mike, like that's like your new handle, dude.
The Mike says happy.
What the Mike is cooking? Can you smell what the Mike is cooking?
The Mike says happy birthday to Jordan, and the Mike says it's for you. The Mike also wants to know what Carolyn thinks of this. The Nom Talk team has not gotten to Carolyn's perspective of the Joel and Ellie scenes regarding her past, and wanted to know what Carolyn thought about those scenes and that moment together.
Carolyn works in customer service, and by virtue of age, Carolyn works with a lot of people who are a lot younger than Carolyn. Carolyn is in their 30s. A lot of Carolyn's coworkers are in their early 20s. Ellie's behavior to Carolyn is very reminiscent of the individuals that Carolyn works with, people who are a lot younger, people who have seen a lot of trauma. Even unseen, Carolyn saw a lot of Carolyn's coworkers in how Ellie behaves. And Carolyn thinks that Kenji's whole thing was absolutely on the money, that there is a trend that Carolyn has noticed on social media where millennials seem to be very distressed, where they say, I'm getting older and I don't know what to do, and I'm sad and I don't know where I am and what's going on. And Carolyn has noted that Carolyn's coworkers are like, yeah, and keep going. That's how Carolyn's coworkers behave, because that's how you should behave. It should be passing things on to the next generation. When Carolyn is older, Carolyn should be looking towards them and making sure that they are set up for success. That's just how human nature works. So Carolyn is 100% in agreement with what Kenji said, and Carolyn felt a real connection between Carolyn's coworkers, friends of Carolyn's that are younger, Carolyn's brother, and a bunch of others who have seen that level of trauma. It is a very different level of trauma than a lot of people Carolyn's age have seen. Don't get me wrong, there's trauma. Oh, there's definitely millennial trauma. It is simply, don't get Carolyn wrong, it is definitely there. But Carolyn is Carolyn's a Debbie Downer in this episode. Carolyn's sorry. Good grief.
The Mike says Carolyn has nothing to apologize for, because the Mike says The Last of Us is a downer as it is. So no matter what the Nom Talk team talks about, they'll always be talking about something that's a downer. So
Carolyn's of the idea that this is a very healthy example of how characters deal with trauma, and they think that that's what it should be. When Carolyn thinks that when Carolyn hits a certain age, Carolyn should be making sure that they handle their dookie, and the younger kids handle their dookie, because I don't know if we could say the other word for dookie. So I'm just gonna say that. Carol's just gonna say that.
the 5 minutes are up, so we can actually talk
Oh,
normally
thank
again. So
God.
yeah, well done, Carolyn. I swear to God, the bottle just keeps falling on you. It keeps spinning on you whenever people redeem these points. So mad props. I mean, it's really great that this is just a guest spot for you guys, for you, so you don't have to endure this level of torture for like the remainder of this season. But man, you are taking it like a champ. So amazing, Carolyn. And also thank you for sharing a lot of that for us. I think that I love that you're finding a lot of catharsis, I think, maybe in the show, and a lot of parallels between yourself and what's going on with these characters. It's very touching to know, and thank you for getting serious and for sharing a lot of that with us.
Well,
That's
thank you for giving me the opportunity to say it, because I saw it during the first episode, and like I said, I've never played the game.
yeah.
My friends are obsessed with the game. Everybody else has played the game, but watching the show and doing this, I was like, I feel like I'm the people that Naughty Dog wanted to reach. I mean, obviously they wanted to reach the game characters, but they also were like, well, now we can have two different audiences. But now I'm like, well, damn, Steam, where's the game? I just got a new gaming computer. Where's the game? I could play the game. I'd probably suck at it, but I can play. I love Resident Evil. I like zombies.
Yeah, it's definitely more than a zombie game. You'd love it a lot. I can't wait for you to dive in when you get a chance to play it.
Is it
Um,
on Steam? I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. Yeah, I think this is a very
Yeah, it hasn't done
PlayStation
they
protected
haven't done
game.
the Spider they haven't Spider-Man it, and they haven't jumped console yet.
No, not yet. Not yet. Um, I'm gonna talk about the last part of The Last of Us, which is Joel and
It
Ellie.
doesn't matter what you want to talk about. Anyway, sorry.
Bravo, well done. No, we're gonna talk about how Joel and Ellie managed to make it up into the highest building in the city, so that they can kind of look to see an escape plan, which I think is smart way to approach this. But they decided to settle down for the night because poor old man Joel can't can't climb stairs, and he climbed quite a bit, like what, 36 floors or something like that, before he had to retire. Puts the glass on the ground, and then they return for the night. Not before, of course, Ellie drops a diarrhea joke for everyone to just like laugh at. And it actually gets a laugh from Joel, which is the sweetest and funniest thing ever, because he's like, it's so stupid, and it really is. But then Ellie wakes Joel up in the middle of the night urgently. And Joel wakes up to uh a kid with a gun in his face, and the episode ends there. Um, just to sort of wrap up the show before we get into, outros and everything like that, as our final topic. Who do we think this kid is? And what do you think is in store for the next episode? Carolyn, I'll start with you.
Well, in the episode where they were in the house that they were hiding in, there were a lot of drawings, and the little kid with a superhero a cape, and I saw he had the thing over his eyes too. Um, is it weird that I'm kind of hoping that Henry's a comic book artist or something? Because I think that would be amazing to have a comic book artist in the apocalypse. You don't see artists in the apocalypse. Normally they get smashed like pretty early on. That would be pretty cool. But I don't know. Based on the trailer for the next episode, I saw the only thing I can really latch onto is I saw that we're getting the cordyceps, the big fat thing, and I'm really excited for the big fat thing. So I'm going to assume that dad with weapon and kid with weapon and Joel and Ellie are going to go up against the big fat thing, and I'm excited for that.
Those bloaters are pesky, I'll say that much. But yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Carolyn. Kenji, what about you? Who do we think this is? And what are your thoughts for the next episode?
Um, I'm actually, I'm actually not entirely sure who this could be because, like they have changed things about this show, like from the game to like the show already as it is. So, like, for all I know, this is a character that I do know who it is, but then like it's like, oh, but we've like changed it completely around. So like surprise, so like
Could
uh,
be anyone.
yeah, it could be anybody for all we know. But I will say that like I definitely am excited to see where this show goes, especially because like like you said, like from playing it from the game, there one of the things that you always have to deal with is bloaters, and they are like so like they are such a nightmare. There are obviously worse cordyceps out there, uh, but this is just another one that's just such a pain, and I'm really excited to see how they're going to do it on screen because they do everything so practically. Like the whole point is that they want to do things practically. So because of that, I'm really excited to see like, dude, what are they gonna do for this? So yeah. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for the next episode.
Uh, it looks like Jordan just had to chime in. Of course, we're welcome to have him chime in. Saying fuck bloaters, bro. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. I apologize. But that's what I assumed that the asterisk meant there. And I agree with you, Jordan. F them hard. Guys, this was fun. This was really an entertaining episode, but even more so getting to host it with you guys. And I'm so glad that I got this opportunity. Carolyn, hopefully we get you on future Last of Us episodes as well. We'd love to have you. This was so good talking to you, and it's refreshing because between Jordan, Kenji, and myself, we've all played the game, so we kind of know what to expect. But to hear it from somebody who hasn't played the game and is going in completely blind, it's exciting to get your take on all of this, and I love that. It's very personal as well, so it's couldn't have been happier to have you as a guest host, person. So honestly, really wonderful. Where can everyone find you, Carolyn?
You can find me on Twitter at the moment at Carolyn in Fandom. That is capital CAROLYN in and then FANDOM. I guess I'll also plug my Instagram too, at Carolyn's Geek Out, CAROLYN, Geek GEEKOUT. That's Instagram. I have a card that's in my Twitter bio though that has everything, including my TikTok, my other stuff. And then I will leave my outro with a joke, if I may.
Please do it. Yes.
What do you call a bear eating a banana? A bear with a peel.
We couldn't have ended this episode any more perfectly, Carolyn. Thank you so much for being the Ellie in tonight's episode. It was wonderful. Thank you for that. Kenji, good buddy, where can everyone find you, sir?
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at Kenjinator. You can also find me on Twitch at the Kenjinator. You can also find me on Sundays with my dad. We do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign where my dad is the DM. It's really awesome. That's what the shirt is. It's the Gatewalker Saga. That's what this mug is. It's the Gatewalker Saga. We got merch, so check that out. But yeah, every Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check it out. And I want to leave with a pun too, but I'm stuck between two. And you know what? I'll do that one. Okay, yeah, I'll do that one. So a baby seal walks into a club.
Oh, that's so dark.
Oh,
I don't want to hear the rest of it.
No, that's just it. That's the joke.
Yeah,
That's it. That's where
that is dark.
Kenji, I'm really glad you didn't have to beat people over the head with the meaning behind that.
Oh man, Carolyn, well played, Kenji. Well played, although, you know, that's thousands of people are probably horrified now. No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. But well played. And as always, I've been your host, Mike Manalo. You can find me at TidyBowBoy182 on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find my work on thenerdsofcolor.org, whattowatch.com, and that's at la.com. I honestly would end with some sort of a pun, but I don't have one off the top of my head, so I'm just going to play the Joel card and just go like, funny, you know, puns are stupid. So yeah, we'll end it there, and I apologize for playing the Joel card here, but hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself, and don't forget, I mean, next Monday we're back on the regular schedule. Tune into our next recap of The Last of Us. We're going to talk about episode 5, but before that, if you want more good, awesome binging, basic binges goodness, please be sure to watch the Nom Watch review for Cradle to the Grave, a very classic DMX movie. Tomorrow, only on the Nom Talk Network. Until then, guys, have a great one. Thank you so much. Be safe and stay clear of infected and cordyceps. Bye.